What's going on, grappling fans?
Hopefully, first of all, hopefully you know to stay mentally in the game.
Both those all our matches have been pretty close. What's up, grappling fans? Good evening. I hope you're all having a wonderful Tuesday. We're back again with another episode of Who's Number One with two very special guests joining Michael now today. We have Roger Gracie and Braulio Estima calling us all the way from the UK. It's almost midnight there. How you guys doing, man? It's the first time we've spoken to anybody on that side of the pond. How are things over there for you guys?
Very quiet with all the quarantine, you know? I think like everywhere, you have to stay at home. You cannot mix with anyone. Everywhere is closed. My gym is closed. I haven't trained in like a month. I'm going crazy here. But yeah.
How about you, Braulio?
Yeah, things are pretty different. I think it's a time to everyone to adapt. And I try to kind of change my platforms of services. Instead of we teaching in a one-to-one, we change up to our platform online and try to still be connected somehow. And to be honest, I've been very busy with so many things to fit in on the, because of all learning of the platform, how to do it, how to connect to the students, different classes. And when you do online, you have to be doing yourself. It's different when you teach, you just coach and tell what them to do. It's our spirit. I've been very active, man. I think I'm going to come out fitter than ever after this.
What are you guys doing to stay in shape when you're not able to train jiu-jitsu? You doing any workouts at home or anything? Maybe Hydra want to go first? Yeah.
I've been doing some workouts at home. I have some very limited weights and dumbbells, like skipping ropes. That it's been working pretty well so far. I've been following on my platform online in Jacare, because like Braulo said, we had to change for online classes. I have like yoga, kickboxing, some conditioning. But, I try to do a few of those. And I think staying at home, it's difficult. It's, of course, nothing can compare to, training outside or going to the gym. But so far, I've been getting away doing things at home. It's been working pretty well. And I'm not going to get back, completely out of shape.
What about you, Braulio? What are you doing to stay busy over there?
Well, I'm focusing to keep myself busy by leading by example. I'm trying to get a little bit off on the front line of my academy, and trying to show them that it's possible. Because I think, like for example, me, Roger, when we are fighters, I think we learn on our journey that the mentality of be able to get through any difficult times. I think we build this resilience on our body, in our minds, that there is always a way out for something. And but for many of our students that are learning that is out there, they still don't have that resilience yet. So I chose to use myself as a leading example for them to kind of take back and be able to have that as a reference so they can get out. Because, man, I'm telling you, the people talk about a lot the statistics of what is going to go with the COVID-19 and stuff. But, man, by the circumstances that we get into, the suicide, the depression, all the illness that will come together with that, it can be very, very bad. So I try to give
Brother, stop lying. You stay on your couch all day long watching TV, bro. What are you trying to fool here, bro?
Can't fool Roger. It's a good try.
Playing video games all day, bro.
I don't have
bullshitting us.
Michael is Jazz. Michael Jazz, did you see how much he felt bad?
I'm joking, bro. I'm joking. I saw everything you're doing online. You're doing a great job, teaching to, a few times a day. I'm just joking.
You guys are both running your opportunity. You guys are both running your online platform. Sorry, bro. Go ahead. Sorry.
I said I want to take this opportunity as well to encourage and motivate my best friend Roger to. That's a way out there. That if you focus and you keep working, you can come back stronger than before.
Something I would like to talk about with you guys, I think people would be interested in. A lot of the athletes from your guys' generation, when they left Brazil, went to the United States. How did you guys end up choosing to go to the UK? What was the path for both of you to go to the UK? Maybe Roger, go first.
So, yeah, I can reply that. So my father, he was in London, in England, when I was a teenager. He moved to England. He started teaching here. First, he started in Birmingham, then in London. So he stayed here for a few years. And but after a while, he decided to go back to Brazil. And when he decided to go back, I was still very young. I think I was a purple belt, if I'm not mistaken, or blue or brown. Either purple or brown. I think brown belt when he moved back. And, like I said, I was too young to suddenly move to England on myself and open my gym. I was like in the middle of training like crazy to be a competitor. I needed to be in Brazil. And but when I got my black belt, I got an opportunity for me to open my gym here. So because when he moved back, we kept, we were like sending someone for to stay a couple months here teaching, so we can keep things going, not to die completely. We had like some students that have been training with my father for a while, and he didn't want to just let everyone be on their own when he moved back. So we kept the school, but inside a sports center. So we had someone there teaching twice a day. We kept that for 2 years. But then when I got my black belt, as I was getting my black belt, I met a friend, Steve, and then he helped me open my school in London. So funny, when I was at the airport, moving in, I was like in and out a lot. But when I was like, okay, now I'm moving in permanently, and then I'm at the airport waiting to catch my plane, Braulio called me. Braulio say, and Braulio back then we were like pretty close. But Braulio lived in Recife. We were close because of like competitions. Every time he was going to Rio to compete, we became friends. And then he ended up staying at my house many of the times. We got closer. So and he knew my father lived in England. So one day he's like, he called me out of the blue, and so Roger, how you doing? And, we start chatting. They say, I'm going to England, to London. I'm gonna go there. There's a friend of mine who lives there. Nothing about jiu-jitsu. I just for experience. I wanna stay there like for a couple of weeks. And I was like, really? I'm at the airport going to London now. So and he was already, he was already set. Everything was set, and he was going. So he called me to tell me he actually was going. I said, "Oh, that's amazing! I'm at the airport. I'll be there I'll be there in 12 hours, in 11 hours." And then, the same time that I kind of decided to move in to open my gym, Braulo came. And so he came in, to stay just like a few weeks. And I was just opening my gym. So when he came in, there wasn't really like, space for him to teach with me. I just opened my gym. I didn't have any really students. But and then he was like, I'm just going to see what I can find. And I told him, I said, Braulo, there's these guys in Birmingham where my father used to live. They still run in a school. There's this guy that teaches, but he does as a hobby. He has his his main job, but he still teaches every night just out of passion because he likes to teach, and he kept what my father started like a few years back. And I say, bro, let me contact the guys. I'm going to do a seminar there. Come with me. I introduce you to them, and maybe you can teach there. So he came in. And then the guys really liked Braulio, and then they offered Braulio, say, Braulio, stay here from Monday to Friday teaching. We have classes every day. So Braulio stayed there for a few weeks. Monday to Friday, he was in Birmingham teaching, and then Friday he used to come to London to hang out with me. We were like two young guys, like 20, 21, and, we just want to go out and have fun. So Braulio was, from Friday to Sunday or Monday, he was in London, and then from Monday to Friday he was in Birmingham teaching. But but the guys, they really love Braulio, and then they offer him like a permanent job. Stay here, we help you with everything you need. We would love to have you. And then I think that was how Braulio he moved to Birmingham. And funny, it was at the same time that I was moving to London and opening my gym. And which was a great thing, you play out that, even though that we're like 2 hours away, we were out together every week, training. We were like trying our own things with our students, and then when we get together, like, we push each other, we try new things, see what works, what doesn't, always like studying new things. But like for years, it was just me and Braulo. There was like no one else, but, Braulo was the same. We had like blue belts to train. I remember training for the world in 2004. I had one purple belt, and that was it.
Wow. Oh, man.
Wow.
Yeah, like one purple belt, like 3 blue belts in Braulo. No one else, like all my students are like fully beginners, and we were both getting ready for, 2004, the Worlds in 2005. Every year was the same, It's like, okay, 2005, I had maybe, the purple belt go brown, and I had like 2-3 more blue belts. But, that was it. I think 2004, we both went to Brazil I went to Brazil 4 or 5 weeks before. So I was still able to get a good training with the people in Brazil. But I think from 2005 onwards, I got there in like for 2 weeks, like 3 max. I did my whole training, whole preparation, everything in London. And, me and Braulo, we were like once a week. I used to drive to Birmingham to train, and then once a week he used to drive to London. And that's how we were getting ready for our fights,
So, you're talking about back in the prime of your career, like 2005 when you won ADCC. It was basically you guys and a bunch of beginners in England. That's amazing. I want to hear you. I want to hear you, because since you guys probably spent so much time training with each other, I want to hear your guys' just description of the other person as a training partner. What it was like rolling with him and everything. Braulo, you want to go first and describe what it was like training with Hadra back then?
Yeah, Roger was talking, right now it just brings a nice movie on my mind. It's so crazy. I think, everything happens for a reason. I remember the day that I called him, and I had no clue. We haven't spoken for months, and then I called him. He was, man, I'm just going there. It's just crazy, huh? And yes, I was a brown belt when I got there. And then Roger, I think he just got his black belt or something. Or if not, he's still brown belt. I don't remember exactly. I know
I was still brown. Roger, I think I was still brown. I was still brown.
You're still brown. I remember. So, man, I want to tell you a story that Roger will remember which describes a lot.
Not that story, brother. Not that one, please.
That describes a lot what the resilience, the way of training me and Roger, we always clicked since the beginning, since blue belt, because I have a very different game. And it was a game that Rogers, he likes challenges, and he likes to view something that he's not sure. And how I used to play different, he always got very intrigued, and that's why I ended up training a lot. And he always loved challenge, never choose the easy train. And the same as me, I've always liked to train at the hardest one. And then one thing. One day we were in London, one of those days that we came back, and then we went to train, just me and him, nobody else. So it was a Saturday. And then he goes, okay, let's do some row. And at the end of the rows, he goes, okay, bro, come on, put me in the triangle. I said, okay, I'll put the triangle. Okay, let's go. My best position. All right, Gracie, come here. And then I put him on the triangle, and I start 80%, I didn't want to go heavy, and then he didn't tap. I said, okay, 90%, and okay, not tap, and he escaped. Knowing myself, I already knew I have to go and do the same, because I want to do the same. I want to experience the same. I want to learn the same. I said, go on, and you escaped. Now it's my turn. And then he put the triangle on, and full on, bam, 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 poof, I escaped. And then I was like, damn, yeah, man, that's it. I like it. And then he goes to me, Braulio, one more. I said, flip the back, bro. I was like so frustrated when he said another one, because I knew it that I was going to ask as well for the other one. And then he goes, flip and like, okay, so this time I'm gonna go 100%. So there is no other chance. I go one more time and that's it. I'll tap him, he taps me, and that's it. We're over. Let's go home, right? And then, man, I put everything, man. And this guy snoring. The eyes came up to here, came back, came up to here, came back. He escaped. I said, God damn it. I look at him, huh? Now I'm gonna have to squeeze me. Dude, the same thing. He squashed, he pulled the head. Man, that was when I first time I got my first ear, cauliflower
Cauliflower.
ear popped. Was that day. I escaped. And then we hit. I hit one side, he hit the other side. We're tired. I'm tired of holding. He's tired of squeezing it all out. And then we look at each other. Let's go home and let's not do this ever again, please. We had guys, kids at home. Don't do it at home, okay? Don't do it. And we had like a eye, like blood in eye. Both of us had blood
Oh man,
in
you're
eyes with so
bloodshot.
much
Yeah,
pressure.
yeah.
The bloodshot. So it's like things like that that always called my attention was how amazing Roger was trying to discover and put in practice, do a lot of specifics, and I learned. Man, he was my biggest influence in my career, in my jiu-jitsu. I learned a lot. The way that I pressure passed, the way that my guard became better, was because we kind of complemented each other very well. I think he's one of the, like, he's the best in the world for me in many reasons, and one of the guys that with his structure, his size, and he's a unique person who can understand his body so well that is incredible, and it makes sense why he is so good.
Roger, what were some of the ideas that Braulio gave you about jiu-jitsu, or some of the training sessions that really made you sit back and think, wow, that was intense, or that was great for me? Does anything pop up for you?
We had many. It was, very interesting. Braulio mentioned, the triangle training we had. And, we had very similar trainings like that, because Braulio and I, because we were moving like, we lived away from each other, and we kind of, never too close. Like only when there's like a big competition that we used to see each other more. But if there's no competition, I'm busy, Braulio's busy. So we didn't, we never got together much. But, I think that, there was just a one specific way that we described. And, every time we get together, it was like, we're really pushing, like everything that we've been practicing with our students, that they were like much lower level than us. And then suddenly, we were training, we just like go out of each other, we go off. So we practicing everything we be in training. So a lot of the situations, tough positions to be, the only person at that time that really can put you in danger. Let's say if someone's on your back, if I have a student of mine, like, purple, regardless of what belt is, he's in my back, I don't feel in danger. Unless I give him an opening to make me feel in danger, that danger will not come. But with Braulo, we used to put ourselves in situations that, I have a good level, he had a good level. Anywhere in a dangerous situation, you'll be in trouble. If Braulo is in my back, I have to be very careful. I cannot be relaxed thinking I'm going to get out. If I make a mistake, I tap. And I think, that by being away and training with lower level people, and every time we are together, we always used to train hard and always put ourselves in situations that was like tough. Only him will put me in trouble if I don't do the right move. And when he's saying about the triangle training, I mean, he got a butterfly. Both of us got out of that with blood on your eyes for a few days. But that helped me. I like many times in my fights, I land in the triangle fully on, like you cannot breathe. I mean, that's terrible in a fight. How many times you see people tapping? But I've been there. I've been in that position, snoring. I cannot breathe. My brain doesn't work much. I got out. I'm never tapping the triangle in a single fight. And I remember a few times. I remember fighting Shande in ADCC 2005. He put me in a triangle lock. I remember snoring. I couldn't breathe. The triangle was fully on. I'm like, it's keeping you calm and trying to escape. I'm like, I did the exact move that I did when I trained with Braulo. That move that worked with him. That's why, when Braulo came in, I said, bro, let's practice the triangle. I knew that's Braulio's strongest attack. His legs was his the most dangerous thing he always had. He had very powerful legs. Triangle was his killer moves. You saw, a few of you can see many of his fights. The submission that he taps people the most is triangle. So when he came in, I was like, Braulio, let's train. I didn't care if he tapped me. If getting out or tapping, that's not a problem. If I tap, I would just gonna need to practice more. It doesn't matter. That's why we practice. We're not fighting. I'm not gonna lose anything by tapping. So Braulio put me on. I didn't care if he tapped me or not. I didn't want to tap, and I wasn't gonna tap to the end. And the same thing, the Braulio reverse.
I remember the under.
He tried 100%, and then I tried to tap him 100%. He escaped, So in those sort of things, he helped me a lot, and I'm pretty sure he helped Braulio the same.
When we had Marcelo and Bernardo on here the other day, Bernardo was saying that whenever he did good against Marcelo, Marcelo wouldn't let him go away. He had to do a second round with him. Was there anything like that? And any funny things like that going on in the training?
You go first.
Not really. I remember one time, we were both blue belts. I think blue or purple. I think blue. And we trained at Gracie Bar in Rio. Braulio came in. I barely knew Braulio. He came in to, like a few days or a week before or 2 weeks. I don't remember, to train for a big competition. Probably the Worlds. I don't remember for which tournament it was. And I'm training with him, and then suddenly, boom, he catches me the triangle. I'm like, you bastard. I'm like, I wasn't going, I was training, I was focused, but I wasn't like competition mode, like 100%. And then he got me in the triangle. I got so pissed off. And I'm like, okay, now it's full on mode. And I'm like pushing the pace, and I really push. And, the training was good. But I think, when you asking me when I remember things like that, I know that clearly comes in my mind. But we train so many times, because when he used to come in and train together, it's never once. We train, we spar a few times, because we're never together. So that opportunity that we have now to train, it was, we used to train for like an hour, 2 hours, just us. So it was never that like one training session that, he got me or I got him, and then, okay, let's go again because I'm pissed off you got me. We would always train a few times.
Anyway.
That few rounds, it was like regular, normal. So regardless of what happened in the round, you came all the way from Birmingham, or I came all the way from London. The session was.
What I think, like, as well, the relationship that I have with Roger is a lot. We respect each other a lot in and out the mats, and the mindset of us training is not to beat each other, because it was an ego problem. We never had ego, The training that we had was to improve ourselves as much as we can, to take as much as possible information so we can go back home and re-practice on carry on what working and what's not working, So every field that I train with, I was always excited when I used to go and train with Roger, because the mindset wasn't, I never aimed in my life, not even for 1 second, to be better than Roger, ever, Everything that I aim was to be better than myself, and every time that I could kind of train with him and learn from him. And then he used to share everything that he knew, that he asked, and I used to do the same. So I think we had two very important traits that made us bounce off each other, because we appreciated each other all the time, and we gave back to each other all the time. And this, I think, was a very good bond that we created, in a respectful way, in a very playful way, to the point, man, like, everything, there was no, like, it is a game, not, it wasn't competitive between us,
You guys were training partners for a really long time, juvenile blue belts and things like that. But I just kind of remembered, did you both win your first world titles in 2004 as black belts? And if that's true, how did it feel to share that same success, to look over and see your longtime training partner also hit that milestone together? Braulio, what was that like to win yourself and also see your friend do the same thing?
Man, to be honest, that the year Roger won for me really, because he fought Jacare and he broke Jacare's arm, and Jacare couldn't fight on the final, so I won because Jacare couldn't fight. But he winning, I felt that we kind of we were in a position. I was really proud of myself because for me, I was just a mere person from Recife, a mere guy, from outside of everyone else, and I managed to come here, thank to Roger, and we bounced off each other, and we came from the blue belts, bam, 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 and then Roger was already in a much bigger level than me, and at a black belt by the time that we reached, and then he got the black belt before me, I guess, 1 year before, and then when was it or not, Roger?
I got 2003.
You fought black. Yeah, I got black belt in 2004 in January. So he fought first already at 2005 as a black. No, 2003 he fought as black belt. I fought as brown belt. So then in 2004 he fought as a black belt again, and he won. He lost by my mistake because of the arm with Jacare, right? And he won the weight division, and then I won my weight division because Jacare couldn't fight. So the feeling, man, was like, man, I can do it. I can do it. We are on the right path. I was very proud of him, and being very proud of being part of his journey. And then for me, on that moment, was only the beginning for me. I wasn't really thinking about, oh man, I'm a world champion because I wanted to fight Jacare. That's my main thing. But that was my feeling at the time. I was happier for him than actually for myself.
So that brings me to something that everybody I'm sure always wants to talk about with Roger. Actually, we had Lucas Lepre on the other day, and we let him come up with a question for you guys, and he wanted to ask about the Jacare armlock from that 2004 Open class. So. Lucas's question for you, Roger. He said, "What went through your mind when that happened?" He wanted to know, like, did you hear it break? Did you let go because you thought it was broken? What were you thinking when that happened?
I think when I straight his arm and I really fell it on, you don't really have time to think. But I knew I'm gonna, there's no way out. This armlock is on, So of course he only stopped when he taps, but the moment that I straighten his arm, it's almost that feeling that I got it. He just need to tap, So I do felt popping many times. I'll say quite a few times. I felt I can't say I felt the arm breaking because I didn't feel the bones breaking, but it popped. If I'll guess, about 8 times till he escaped. I didn't. He popped many times. He popped like once, 2 or 3 times, and then on the fight, there's one time that he stepped over my body, and then he kind of face down, and my weight goes behind the elbow, and then he popped like pop, 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 like I don't know 4 times or something like that. I'll say he popped between 6 and 8 times. So I did feel it popping. I did feel popping. But I didn't feel like breaking or anything like that. But he escaped. Yeah, he was like shaking, and he got loose, and the armlock was gone. I did not let go.
What did you think afterwards? Were you like, man, I can't believe this guy kept going? Obviously.
No, when he escaped, I kind of, I went to the moment that he pulled his arm out. I kind of, if you see the video. I kind of grab in his legs, and then he goes on his knees, and I'm on his back. And at that moment, we land outside the ring, but at that moment on, I'm behind him. I know he's hurt. His arm is hurt. And, you can see the way he tried to pull his arm out. His arm is kind of loose. So when I got his back, I'm like, the fight's finished. It's There's no way he's gonna win. I'm on top of him. He's on his knees, and he has his arm is injured. But and then the referee stopped the fight. We were outside the ring, and then he said, go back to the ring, same position. And then Jacare refused to go back to the same position. He looked at the referee and said, "No, I will not."
I gotta try it next time.
Yeah, I mean, he did, and the referee insisted. He said, "Go down," and he looked at him, even said, like, shook his finger, said, "No, I'm not gonna go." But I mean, if you'd have gone to his knees, I mean, it was finished. He's underneath me on his knees with like an injured arm. Fight's over, and it's still, I think, a minute and 50 seconds to finish. But that was my main mistake. I agree. First, the referee never gave me the points. When he pulled his arm out, I grabbed his leg and I'm his back. That's points for me. He forgot about that, which is understandable in that what everything was happening with the arm. He forgot it, and but my main mistake was agreeing. I told him, okay, let's go. I stood up. I was on my knees, and then I stood up. I said, his arm, he's gone. It's 2 minutes. I'm like, there's nothing he can do against me with a broken arm. I mean, it's like my mind. I'm like, it's what he's gonna try to do. If he tried to take me down, anything, he's finished. He cannot do anything. So I agreed to stand up. I said, okay, let's go, fight on. So and then the referee goes, he didn't call the doctor. He just say, go. And then I go forward. I need to grab him. I need to reach his gi. Let's fight. Anything I do, he's finished. I grabbed him. Before I grabbed him, he just going back, and he goes outside the ring. The referee says, stop. We go back. And then he keeps doing that. He does that a few times. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, so he will not fight. So I was just gonna keep going towards him. And because he's running away, the referee need to disqualify, give him point. I'm like, it's 2 minutes. He cannot do that to the end. So I've changed my strategy to try to, to score, to do like any sort of points. And as I was getting closer to him, he was just moving back to his outside the ring. And he did that for a while. He did that many times. So I say, okay, so that's my strategy. He cannot do that to the end of the fight. And then I kept doing that. After a while, the referee gave him a penalty. But, apart from that, he didn't do much. And then, there was like 30 seconds, 40 seconds to the fight. I'm like, shit, my strategy is not working. Yeah. I mean, he's still fighting. He's not disqualified. I'm like, what's wrong? I mean, he should be. Because he's just running.
I agree.
So it is. He should be disqualified. He should be like, there's 10 things that should have happened. The referee never did anything. So I had to change my strategy for like 30 seconds. I'm like, okay, so he will not disqualify him. I knew 30 seconds to go. I have to do something. I have to, because I'll lose the fight. But he kept doing the same thing. The referee gave him a penalty, so you have to fight. He kind of started moving around a little bit more, but he was still going out. He wasn't engaging. I couldn't engage the fight. So by the time I realized that nothing would happen, I had to change my strategy. Like, it was too late. And then the referee gave him the victory.
Braulio, so you were in the building there. Like you said, you were supposed to fight Jacare in the final. What memories do you have of that match?
Man, I was like a little bit in ecstasy and a little bit in shock as well with everything, because I would never expect something like that, like that this would happen. Was a big intriguing feeling for me, because I was happy. I also was a little bit frustrated because I wasn't going to fight, and at the same time frustrated that Roger lost the fight when I was clearly won. It was like very the whole arena, man. Fighting in the Tijuca Tennis Club is already an experience itself. And when Roger used to go to the fights, when the main fights, when I used to go to fight Shandy, Jacare, the whole team goes down, and the whole family, Roger's family is there, and then everyone is screaming, and I was very kind of very hard to understand. Is that really real? That's happening? It's too many mixed feelings. You know, you see um, a fight that is one of the most exciting fights of the whole tournament end up with a submission, but at the same time, somehow the guy come out with the victory with controversy. Man, we should make a movie just about that preparation for that world championship. Man. It's crazy.
Hey, Hamilo's in the comments right now. He says that you do double dipping. He says, Braulio. He says Hamilo says when he does good that you make him come back and spar with you again.
No, this is Romeo. Romeo is the worst for that. Especially if you're training with him on his academy, is worse. Man, no, did you know who is the worst out of all of us that I ever met in my life, that I never seen this in nowhere in the world? Felipe Pena. God damn it.
Hamilo said the same thing.
My goodness. My God. Listen, that I saw one day he trained with my brother. And then, in the beginning, he was warming up. And then Victor did well in the beginning. My man, this fight after, supposed to be for 10 minutes. The alarm finished at 10 minutes. They still fight for another 40 minutes.
Wow.
50 minutes rounds. Oh,
right.
My God, my brother couldn't move.
Big size difference there.
Yeah. Something I wanted to get into with you guys. It's pretty interesting. We have two different people here who have done double gold at ADCC. It's such a great accomplishment. I wanted to talk about both of you guys with your run for double gold. We'll start with Hodger's one. Hodger, yours in 2005 is sort of legendary. You're the only person to ever get double gold with all submissions. I mean, you tapped some big names on that road. Who you tapped? Fabricio Verdum, Janji 2 times, Jacare. You went back and got revenge on Jacare there. Just talk to us a little bit about that ADCC double gold run and how it went down.
I mean, that was one of the best performance I had. But I would say it is probably one of the times I trained the most in my life. Nothing comes easy. I've trained like a madman to get fully ready for that tournament. I clearly remember, like killing myself during training for like weeks and weeks before. And I've never really pushed myself because I knew, it's 2005. Okay, I've been a black belt for 2 years, but I'm a black belt. I'm good, but that's the biggest no-gi tournament ever. And I never really trained no-gi. I fought 2003. It was the first time I ever started training no-gi in my life. In Rio, the only reason that we used to train no-gi when it was too hot to put the gi on in summer. But, the no-gi was not part of my training in my life. But, 2003 came in, I had the opportunity to go, and I fought. I got third place. And so 2005 came in, and I was like, this is the biggest no-gi tournament in the world. The best will be there. Like, I was in New York with Renzo a lot at the time. I'm like, man, I'm in. I want to fight. And then I did a qualify to do that because I didn't win 2003. They didn't want to invite me. So I nearly did not fight. I wasn't gonna compete because I'm like, okay, man, they asking they inviting a whole bunch of people. You know what? I'm not gonna go for the qualifieds. Anyway, I decided to go. I went in, I qualified, I finished everyone in December the year before, and then the next year, 2003 is like, boom, that's it. And then I knew all the fighters were gonna be there, and it's tough, man. No gi is harder. It's much harder than gi because it's very slippery. Power and speed counts a lot. It's a less technical game. Gi, you need to be more technical. No gi, you don't have much. Speed and power counts a lot. So I was like, man, I need to be ready. The best of the best out there. I was in New York. I went to stay with my cousin Renzo in New York for, over 2 months before. And I was just there, just training every day, twice a day, like killing. I used to drive maybe 3 hours a day or 4 hours, training sessions. I was staying at Renzo's house, was like driving to Manhattan every day, either alone or with Renzo. I was doing conditioning with Martin Rooney, Same thing, an hour away, there and back, 1 hour there, 1 hour back. I was easily driving like 4 hours a day. But I was like, every training session, I was so motivated. I was like giving my best, the best I could in every training session, every single one. We're training wrestling in the city, I'm pushing. Every training session, I'm exhausted. I don't remember ever training hard that much. But I was like super confident. I was training, of course, I was training to win, but in my mind, I'm like, winning is not enough. I'm like, I need to finish everyone. So I'm like, people will ask me, and I'm like, man, I'm going to finish them all. There's no question.
Roger, you're not really someone that takes many bronzes in your career at all. Did that 2003 performance motivate you to put in this extra energy to go for 2005?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I lost to John Olav, a Norwegian guy, very tall, very weird jiu-jitsu, but very good. We fought again in 2007. We did a super fight ADCC. I beat him by points, but I lost to him on the semifinal. And that was the first time I ever underestimate my opponent. And it cost me the fight, I was fighting him, and, who was John Olav? In my mind, I'm like, there's no one. He's a tough guy that, is easier fighting, but he's not really anyone that I have to really worry about it. So semi-final, I'm like, I'm not going to get too tired on this fight. Final is still coming. It's 20 minutes is a long time. And then, ADCC rules, first five, we fought 10 minutes. First five, no points. After 5, points. My mind, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go easy on the first 5 minutes. I'm going to save energy. And then I'm going to start fighting after 5. And then after, when the points are on, I'll take him. So, I underestimated him. I started, I went to fight him thinking I'm going to win. My mistake. And then, suddenly before 5 minutes on, he's in my back. He went for the takedown. I'm like, okay, take me down. And then he take me down past my guard. And then I'm like, that's not a good position to be. I need to get out. Then I'm just trying to push myself out of the way. And then, boom, he has my back with the body triangle on. I'm like, man, this is not good. Anyway, I lost the fight. And then first time I ever underestimated someone, but it doesn't matter. I lost. And then when I went to 2005, and there's like, okay, there's like big names in here. Like, I need to be ready. So I train like a madman. I don't think anyone in that tournament trained as much as me, for sure. If they did, they trained equally because I couldn't do more. I'm like pushing every single session. So when I went there, like, even though that I was able to submit all my opponents, but I had many hard fights, like a lot of my fights went overtime, and I went the final when I fought Cacareco in the final of my weight on the Sunday. So I did 3 fights in my weight division. Then Sunday, first fight of the day, Cacareco. We fought for 30 minutes, first fight of the day, before absolute, before anything. My warm-up was Cacareco 30 minutes. And we're pushing, there was like it's a draw. The draw, he can't do anything. He almost passed my guard once I turn, and I'm, he's blocking all my moves. I can't do anything. But I'm pushing, so the fight is physically, we're going. And we fought 20 minutes, overtime, 10 minutes. But then he's starting to get tired. And I remember when the 30 minutes hit, the referee says, stop, back to your corner for 20 seconds. And then we got to go 10 minutes more. And I went back to my corner, and I'm tired. I'm over 30 minutes fighting. It's not easy. I'm tired. I'm feeling tired, but mentally I'm like, I'm on. There's no giving. Regardless of how tired I am, we're fighting. Let's go back. And then I looked. Renzo looked too. He was the first one to see. Renzo was like, he's going to give up. He's going to give up. I looked to his corner. There's like people in front of me, people in front of him. And all I could see, his head shaking. He's shaking his head, and his hand is doing this. And Renzo turns to me and says, Roger, stand up and shout. I'm like, what? So, yeah, stand up, go to the middle of the mat and start shouting. He's going to give up. But I mean, I stood up, I went to the middle of the mat, but didn't shout. I was just there, shaking myself, ready to go, and then he gave up. He said, I can't go back. I'm too tired. So, that was the first verbal tap. It was my first match of the day on Sunday, 30 minutes, full on. I guess a super strong guy. And then that was my warm-up for the Open.
And, so the Open was pretty crazy. If you look at who'd you beat? You beat Verdum in the quarterfinals.
Shandy, I fought Shandy too.
Shanji in the semifinals, and then Jacare.
I fought Yuki Kondo. No, Yuki Kondo, no.
Shinyayoki,
first fight.
Yeah.
Shinyayoki. Yeah, and then I fought Verdun or Shandy, one of the two, and I fought one and then the other right after, and then Jacare in the ends, 4 fights.
Got on the back of everybody, hit the RNC, the Monteleone on everybody. Your last match before this ADCC was that Jacare match from the Tijuca Tennis Club, was it? Or no, you fought him at Euros, I think it said. No, okay.
Yeah.
No, you fought him in the last match. You fought him at Euros in the last match before this.
Euros. Yeah.
But did going back and getting him in an absolute like that at ADCC in a major absolute, he had beat you in the World's absolute final the year before. Did that feel like, sort of like revenge for him getting you the year before, but then you go and you finish him in ADCC?
It did, but I think more than the feeling of beating him, it's the feeling that what I just achieved in general in that tournament. I think he was just a part of it, of the whole thing. When I finished it, my fight with him, it wasn't that I got my revenge again. My focus was never him. It's the whole tournament. It's just not to lose, it's to win against everyone. And he was the last fight. I fought my weight the day before. I find off my weight, and then the whole of the absolute. A lot of the fights in the absolute went overtime. I fought Shande, went overtime. I fought Verdun, I think we went overtime. So all my fights were very long. So I remember walking to the final. I'm feeling very tired physically before fighting Jacare. Before the fight, I'm laying down in the back in the warm-up area. My body, I'm very tired. And, I think the most thing that fulfilled me in that tournament was my mental, my mental focus. Regardless of how tired I was in any fight, I never doubt myself. I remember walking to that fight, I was very tired physically. I was like, my body, after the tournament, I was never so sore in my whole life. My body was sore, my muscles were sore for a whole week. I've never felt like that. So physically it was very hard, pushing every single fight. It went overtime. And it's, trying to take bigger guys down is hard, man. Fight, that tournament, it drained me in the end. So I'm tired now walking. I remember walking to the final. My body physically, I felt very tired, my muscles. But my mind, it was like, let's go, I think, I was so proud of myself in that tournament because my mind, it pushed me to my limit. It got me to the limit. I trained as hard as I could. I was very fit, and I went to my limit, my very, very end. And I never had any questions about myself, in any fight. I fought Jacare in the final. I went for a guillotine. I was training that. My guillotine was working really well. I was standing, I got the guillotine, and I'm like, it's on. I'm going to finish. I pulled guard, and he escaped. And ADCC in the finals, when you pull guard, you got minus point. You cannot pull guard. So I gave him 1 point. I got minus. He's ahead of me. And he stayed ahead of me till 18 minutes. I'm losing. I know after, I don't remember when, it was like 5 minutes that the fight was on. I pull guillotine. I'm losing. I'm like, man, I'm looking at the clock. It's like 18 minutes. Now it's 2 minutes to go. I can't believe this is happening. But I'm still pushing, I'm like, my pace is still the same. I'm still going forward. And then I try to take down his stand up, and I'm holding his waist. I'm, both standing, I'm grabbing his body. And then I did a move. I dropped him, and I was able to get his back straight away. I got the body triangle. And when I got the body triangle, I'm like, finish. I mean, now I already won. I knew when I locked the body triangle, it was like, I don't know, a minute to finish. I'm like, this is on. Even if he escape, he's not going to beat me now. I got this, give me 3 points. I don't know, for 3 or 4. I think 3 points. I'm like, fight's on. And he stood up. It was very unusual the way that he ends. He stood up. He's looking at the referee. Of course, he's trying to argue. He's shaking his finger, saying, no, but I mean, his point is on. I mean, on your back, the body triangle. ADCC rules, you do get the points. But if you lock the body triangle, right? IBJJF, you don't. But ADCC, you do. So we stood up, we look, and I mean, he lost. He doesn't know what to do because he's not going to get out. Even if he does, how's he going to score? And, I'm holding. And then I see, his head, I saw a little opening in my head. Boom. I put it on. And then he tapped fast. He didn't see him struggling to do like crazy. When he was on, like, he just tapped. And I think at that moment, I was like, it wasn't the feeling of revenge or of relief. Because when we fought before, I think, I beat him at the ears. And before that was on 2004, the arm. When we fought in 2004, even though that he got the victory. But, I mean, I did all I could. I think I did a great fight. In my mind, I won the fight. What else can I do? I did enough to win, and I should be the winner. But the referee did not, he did not agree. But in my mind, I won 2000, when we fought 2004, even though that he got the victory. But I was, I got the best out of it. I broke his arm. I did everything I could. The referee did not play by the rules. If he had, I would have been the winner. So I never, I don't hold grudges. I'm like, okay. So that for me, I mean, it's 1 point was good. All those times that I lost, that I think the referee did a mistake, did a bad call. It just made me train more. It's like I can, in my mind, after when I fought Jacare in 2004, the only thing that I thought about it was like, I need to get better. I cannot win by points because, looking back of my history, all my competitions, every time there's a doubt, he goes to my opponent.
Yeah.
That's, story of my life. Every time there's any doubt, there's any questions, I'm the loser.
Yeah.
If there's anything, they won't give me a point. So if there's any doubt, they'll give to my opponent. So I'm used to that. So for me, I'm like, I need to get better. I can never leave in the referee hands. He cannot decide the fight. I cannot let the fight be decided by advantage or by points because I will be the loser. And when that happened, I was never the winner. I was always the loser. So in 1 point was good because it just made me push more. I'm like, when next time I fight Jacare, I need to finish him. So I'm not going to go to his arm. I need to focus on his neck. People can be brave. He can decide not to break the arm. They cannot be brave in the neck because they go to sleep. There's no. It's true. You cannot defend. You cannot be brave on your neck because you pass out. You can choose to break your arm, takes the pain, and carry on fighting, but the neck you out. That's why I start focusing, in the neck. You can see after that, I start developing really strong neck attack, in the mount. Suddenly I'm finishing people in the choke, not in the armlock. Because I know I go to the arm, people has flexible joints or they don't tap. In the neck, I grab the neck, you're out. There's no doubt. That made me develop a neck choke. Look what happened in a few years after that. My chokes are much better than my locks, my arm lock. The arm lock that I used to go in the close guard, I don't go anymore. Now I get people's back. That's how I developed the attack. My close guard, I bring people's arm across and I get the back because I don't want to attack the arm. Suddenly they escape. So it's no regret. It is what it is. I think. Jacare, he did whatever he thought was right. And then when we fought 2005, there's no blaming him. He's right. I mean, if you have a broken arm, what are you going to do? You're going to try to fight? No, you have to. You can. You lose. He was doing whatever he thought was right to win. I don't blame anyone. It doesn't matter.
Guys, if you don't interrupt him, he's going to talk until tomorrow. You know that.
Yeah.
right.
Everything that happened in my
Guys,
previous
we
fight.
gotta go from 2005 to 2007 to 2007. Dude, let me talk something, for God's sake.
All right, so let's
We
move on
still
to
have to
Braulio.
talk about
All right, we haven't heard from you in a while, Braulio. So Braulio, you were there in 2005. You lost first round. 2007, you did better. You took second, but 2009 was when you really got it done, and you showed up and you got double gold. 2009, I mean, you tapped.
Some major wins.
Yeah, I mean, you tapped Galvao, you tapped Marcelo Garcia, who you've tapped more than once in your career, which is pretty incredible. You tapped Lovato with your trademark move, the Estima lock. Maybe just you can do the same thing that Hydra just did and walk us through your 2009 double gold and
in
the
a shorter
circumstances.
version. In a shorter version.
All right.
Look,
Braulo
so,
was fighting on his backyard, but
look,
he had all the referees
man,
on his pocket. But that's why. I'm joking. He finished everyone.
look, guys. So, like this story that Roger was talking about, like he was, as I said, I'm his biggest fan, man. And then everything that he did always inspired me to do it. I came from a city back in Brazil that I was the very first to achieve something in the region. So I've always been very used to break through my own limits, even when would never been done before. I have that mentality. When I see someone doing something, that goes, come on, man. If I could go through a jungle on the blind and be able to get out, imagine if I know someone already being there, knowing what's going on. So it is possible. So I kind of got really inspired for Roger's journey. And in 2005 was an amazing journey. It got to my mind. I was part of the training camp. I remember being there with him for a few weeks in New York, and I remember this journey 1.5 back in market running, go to the academy and train. It's tough, but very motivating. Every day was a bright day with a very nice purpose of training hard as you can and do it as much as you can, so there's no regrets. So when he went there and won it all in 2005, I was so happy for him and emotional how it was, as he described. And I remember going back home to the room, and the first thing that came to my mind was, man, how does Roger feels right now, this moment, having a shower by himself after all this? Nobody ever gonna do something similar to that. That was my mind, the way that he did. And and then in 2007, I managed to be invited in the last minute on the above weight, and I managed to win went to the Shandy against Shandy, the final, and we did the best fight of the tournament, right? So that gave me my spot for the first time in 2009 to be for real. Okay, you're going to compete in 2009. So that was the first time that I actually practiced and trained hard for it, And then it's very similar style. You see, like he 2003, he wasn't really sure, and then suddenly he fought, and then 2009 the same. He got into it 2005, and then 2009 was my best year. I was winning Pan Am's, Europeans, weight and absolute to the worlds, and I was feeling in my best, and then I had all the mentality that I've been learning by being through with Roger, and that mindset to compete and to be able to push your limits, to do what it takes. And I remember, man, I took the same kind of advice and the same kind of experiences, and then I did my best. There's no other human being that could have trained more than me on the 2009. That's for real. It was incredible, and I relate pretty much the same things that Roger went through in 2005. I was going through 2009. It's crazy how when he repeats with his own words, because we never spoke much about exactly the specific details. But man, it was exactly how it was, man. My mind, let's go, and then I was submitting one after the other, with big names, one after the other. And I remember when I had fought. I had beaten Marcelo Garcia. I tapped Marcelo Garcia, and then I was in the semifinal. This after all the tournament, right? I was already being in the final with Andre Galvao, submitting the Veta Triangle. It was amazing. Roger was there. Victor was there. It was amazing. And then I went to the. They didn't want to even put me on the absolute. And then last minute they said, "No, you go." And then I submitted the first guy. The second one I submitted Marcelo Garcia. Then I was drawn with against Vini Magalhães. before Vini Magalhães, I was upstairs on the acai store, putting acai packs on my forearms because my arms I couldn't even do it. You know, it's the same, and you know, ADCC is like the Olympics. It's like a marathon. You gotta be ready. You cannot go there halfway. I remember as soon as I put that like 2 minutes and go, Braulo, Estima. I said, for God's sake, let's go. And I went there, and I went, okay, the same thing that was said. My body was broken, but at the same time, my mind said, let's get it on, you know. And I remember very clearly, Shandy was already fighting on the mat beside me, was the other semifinal. It was Shandy versus Andre Galvao on the semifinal, you know. And then I already said, okay, cool. So the next fight will be the winner of them two. And then, man, I was starting Vini, and then I swept Vini, and then he turned up, and I suplex him. He turns, and then I jumped on his back, took his back, and I said, "Man, I'm gonna submit him." And I hear, and the winner is Shandy Rivera. So whoa, let's rest. You know, when I heard that Shandy was already in the final on the other side, I said, "My goodness, no chance." You know what? I will keep the back. No chance that Vini gonna escape. You know, I'm gonna save my forearms because my forearms was really proper tight. You know, and then the fight was back to back all the time. And I finished the fight, and then there was the fight, the super fight happening between. Look how crazy thing goes. Robert Drysdale fighting against Jacare. Supposed to fight Robert Drysdale because he had won in 2007 the super fight against John Love. And in our first training, right, between me and Roger, the very first training, in the very end, I went to do a double leg. He sprawled, he slept. I don't know if he was already injured or if there was a slippery floor, and he twisted his knee. And that's why he pulled out of the ADCC 2009, right? Was he supposed to fight Drysdale? And guess who they put instead? Jacare. I said, oh, it's my chance. You know? Like later, I thought, wait, man, that's my chance to prove myself that I can actually do it because I had fought Jacare 4 times and I lost 4 times. I don't even had the opportunity to score 1 point against him. You know, so that was the time that I could kind of, you know what, man, now I'm an adult, I have trained, I grown up, I improved in jiu-jitsu, I feel like a real black belt now. That's an opportunity. So when I fought the same fight, when he won, I was, you know, I love Drysdale, but I was really hoping that Jacare wins because I would like to fight him in 2011. So then I went to fight Shandy, and I went to the reverse triangle, stood up, and it went down, and I put so much pressure on his shoulder that he didn't want to tap at all. And then as soon as he came down to the floor, I did a re-attack to go for another triangle, and then he dislocated the shoulder or the backs of the muscle. And then, it was like something. I did it. I cannot believe it. You know, like I tapped everyone, and I was, my God, man, that's unbelievable. It's crazy. I went completely euphorically. And then I went to the hotel after all the interviews, and then I went to the shower, put the shower on, and I was. So that's how Roger felt after that.
All right, so tell me, how's it feel? How's it feel when you get to the shower after winning?
It feels like when anything that you put on your mind, that you focus 100% and you give your best and you give your all you could and you achieve, is the reward that you feel is pretty much, you know, it's like, man, it feels amazing. The only difference that more people talk about it around you, but yourself belief, like everything went like how, like I trained so hard, you know, I was doing all my develop techniques and different ways to surprise people with the submissions, with the inverted triangles, with the Estima lock together with my brother, and things are working really well. And when you put everything, when you plot everything and you go and achieve, the feeling for me was incredibly amazing. But not much different than when I won my first Panams in 1999. When I won for the first time ever in my life, I won my first fight in a blue belt in the IBJJF. During 2 years, I fought during 4 competitions, and I lost in the very first fight in every single of during 2 years. So I was all the time thinking, man, that's gonna be, this time, I'm gonna do everything, how to make it. I need to. And then I won the first time with my first fight, and then I went through to the final, and I won. And then that medal I have actually is here. I will show you guys later because I have so good feeling about that, because that means that everything it is possible if you keep training hard, if you do what you gotta do. The same way that Roger, the more he trained, he focused. Nobody could train more than him in 2005. He was the most prepared. He was the most well deserved to win that fight, and he achieved. It doesn't matter who would be there, he would beat him. And it shows that the persistence, the perseverance, the resilience, and the mindset, the focus. And on Monday, I didn't feel great myself. I felt a little bit empty because I focused too much. That was a good lesson for myself, because I focused too much on the championship, on the being the best, and then I became the best there. And that was like, man, there was no flaws. There's nothing else that I could do much better, because I tapped everyone, and topped all the finals. There was no close match. It was like, man, I just went through everyone. And I was like, damn, like that. I had no plans for Monday. There's no plan. Okay, I need to improve this. I need to fix this. I need to work. No. I felt a little weird. Like the guy from La Bamba when he goes so in the success and the plane crashes. Man, I was scared to flying back home because I thought my purpose in life, that was it. I was going to blow the phone. I was so stressed to get to the plane that I lost my laptop on the security on the airport in Barcelona.
Oh, no.
That's how stressed I was. And I was like, man, please, just land. Just land. Give just a little bit more celebration, But then it was a good wake-up call. It was a wake-up call for myself to try, instead of getting a finite mindset of I want to get to the top. Once you get the top, the only way is down, bro. So that's the first thing that I took my attention, and since then I started diverting my goals of not becoming the best of the in jiu-jitsu, but to get something to be to pass it on, to spread more, instead of just be me. Because after that, what do? You do win again, and what you do? What's the limit? When is it gonna stop? I think that was a good. Very good lesson for me for how to focus on thing that's the mountain would never end. Focus on give back, focus on the positive things that we learn from it, and try to evolve, become a better version of yourself regardless of any achievement. That was one of the diversion that I did. And then if you guys want to talk about later 2011, if you want to link, I can link. If not, I'll let you talk about something. We had to fight against Jacare, which was the conclusion of everything.
So you're talking about 2011 year super fight. That's something I really wanted to pick your guys' brain about, because you guys, not many people have been in that situation where you've won the ADCC Absolute. Now you're going to go on to the super fight. We potentially have a really big super fight coming up in 2021. A guy you guys have both fought, Andre Galvao and Gordon Ryan. I wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on that match. What do you guys think, just like technically, how they match up with each other? What do you guys think about that match?
I think Gordon Ryan is going to win.
You think you called it quick. You think Gordon Ryan's going to win, Roger?
I think fight is a fight. Galvao is a very tough opponent. When he fought his last super fight against Preguiça, he was in great shape. I felt, I think he was the best shape I've ever seen him. He was technically very good. His takedowns never looked so good. But I think, if I want to bet my money on, Galvão, the only chance that he has of winning is avoiding Gordon's attacks. He cannot outpace him technically. He's not going to, submit him. He's not going to. Technically, it will be difficult for him. I think the advantage is on Gordon. It's a size, strength. Strength, maybe no, because Galvao, he looks quite jacked on, on his when he fought, I have to say. So, if you're gonna, match power, they will be probably equal. But Gordon, he's a bigger guy, Galvao, he can be very powerful, but he's smaller. He has, I think Gordon's going to win for sure.
What do you think, Braulio?
Not for sure, but I'll bet my money on Gordon.
Man,
What stands out about Gordon's game, Braulio?
I think it would be a
Galvao
good
retired, by
match,
the way, no? I think he said he's retired.
No, he said he's going to do it. Last we talked to him, he said
really?
yeah, they did the face-off at ADCC, and then he said he's still considering it. Last we talked to him. What do you think, Braulio?
Yeah, I think the only factor that I see is just about the two biggest factor that I think it counts a lot. It counts on all my wins and all my losses as well. It's about how much you really want, the hunger and age. I think there's nobody more hungry than Gordo at the moment, and he's young, he's strong, and he's very good in jiu-jitsu, and he's very unique game that a lot of people are not used to it. Galvao, it's been there for forever. I think he's the only one that won like 5 times or 4 super fights. I'm not sure. And he, the age aspect changed a lot. When you are father, owner of a big association, the responsibilities of the daily basis. You'll be able to train, even though you have all the supports, all the people to train with it. But the mind, when you focus on only one thing, it's different when you focus on too many things. And I think those factors can be against Galvao. The age, the hunger, and the diverted of mindset. So I think because of that point, I think Gordon would have the advantage, in my opinion, too.
So, all right, so both you guys going for Gordon. Something I wanted to go to, basically one of my favorite moments in jiu-jitsu history was, everyone basically thought Hadra was retired. And then all of a sudden you come back and you fight Buchecha at the Gracie Pro. And where was this at? It was in Rio?
It was in Rio, I believe, yeah.
It was in Rio? So if you want to pull that asset up, Clay, we'll just play this thing and watch it, the three of us, and you can just walk us through, Hadra, how this match ended up happening. What was the whole situation behind this thing?
So I stopped really fighting jiu-jitsu in 2010. That was my last world championship. So after that, I was like focusing on fighting MMA. So I wasn't, I always trained with the gi, but not much, So we fought in a couple years before in a Metamoris 20 minutes match, no points. And even though it was a draw, but I didn't feel I had a great performance, not to give an excuse, but a couple of weeks before, I got a really bad staph infection on my ribs. And even though, even training for their fight, I've never felt so bad technically, with my training partners, getting ready, weeks before, training for the Metamoris fight that we had. They much tougher than they always been. I'm having a hard time fighting them. So I didn't feel good in that fight. And the little conditioning I lost when I got the staph. So I got tired very fast. It wasn't a great fight, but it is what it is. And when I was closing to stop competing, I knew I'm like, he's gonna pass me in the worlds, in titles, and he nearly finishing me on my last fight. So I'm like, mentally, I'm like, look, he can be compared better than I, even though that I think I'm better than him. But because, he almost finishing with 4 Metamoris, he's going to have more mortalities than I'm like, I need to beat him before I stop, because I cannot let, everything I train for, to be the best. Suddenly someone is going to be considered better than me, because when we fought last time, in the end of the fight, he got the best out of it. So that's what everyone's remember, which he did, it was a draw. And I'm like, we have to fight. So I agreed to fight this fight. It was 15 minutes, but with points on. So IBJJF rules. So my strategy, coming into that fight was the first 5 minutes. I'm gonna play a very defensive game. Yeah, I'm gonna let him try to attack. Maybe I was already accepting. Maybe he's gonna take me down, or he can maybe do a score on the beginning. I said, like, it doesn't matter. I'm still gonna be passive. I'm gonna play passive on the first 5 minutes because I'm gonna start pushing after that. I wanna finish well. So my strategy before was, defensive. You can see the first 5 minutes, I didn't do any takedown attempts. I didn't attack. I was just defending myself and letting him attack. That was, I want him to get tired. And on the stand-up point of view, his strongest game on the stand-up is shooting for the legs. Any other takedown attempts, he's not very good. I just need to protect my legs. So, he got very clear what he was trying to do. He didn't, was not easy, of course. He could still take me down, but I just focusing on defending the legs. So because I wasn't attacking, so I didn't expose myself. Maybe if I had tried to attack him, to take him down in some way, I would have exposed myself more for his attacks. But I didn't, so I'm just defending. I knew he wants to grab my left leg, so you can see most of the stand up. I keep the left back, and I'm trying to use my grips to block the attacks. And I think I frustrated him on the stand up because he tried his best takedowns, and he wants to be on top. He's a big guy than me. He was bigger and stronger. He wants to be on top. He didn't want to pull guard. I was considered a very good guard pass player. He didn't try any pull. He didn't try pulling guard any time. He wants to be on top. I knew that. So I'm just defending. I'm trying to frustrate him, which happened. I could feel, after a few minutes, after a few attempts, that he tried to take me down. And when he failed, you suddenly see the person's energy going down a little bit, the way he moves. You can see like he tried, everything he could, but because I was, on that passive first few minutes, I was like trying to play into his mind. You can see now, I'm walking straight to the middle. And that's to show him that I'm ready. I can see him clearly going around the mat. I could maybe, turn my back and, trying to catch my breath, but I was like, I'm going straight into the middle and be in a ready position to show him, he needs to come in and fight. So that kind of plays into the person's mind a little bit. And so there was a lot of hand grip. And, I remember in that fight, I don't know how many minutes it is now. I cannot see it. But, with my 5 minutes strategy, I remember looking at the clock once. And I saw 5 minutes. And then, okay, now I'm going to start being more aggressive. And so straight away after the 5 minutes, instead of just sitting, waiting for him to come in and accepting him pushing me back or moving me around, now I'm walking towards him. So when the first 5 minutes when was the first 5 minutes go?
It's about 4.5 minutes in right now, so we're almost to the 5 minute mark.
Yeah. So you can see I'm accepting him pushing me to the corner of the mat. I accept him being pushed. I think there's going to be a moment now he's going to quickly try to go for my legs, but because we're right in the edge of the mat, you can see, the referee stopped us straight away. We go back. And there's a moment in the fight that you will see suddenly I'm walking forward. Then, I'm not just accepting him pushing me back. I think it's 10 seconds to go 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. There's 13 seconds.
You saw me, I kind of looked, and now I'm like, okay, 5 minutes on. So I think from that moment, I'm starting to go forward more. So you can see now I'm pushing. And the moment that I start pressing him, you can see him going back because he just tried to take me down a few times. I'm sure his breath was already not normal. But Now I'm playing, my head defense to reach. You can see me grabbing his belt, which I didn't do that before. That it tells me that I'm trying to play offensive game.
Yeah.
I make that grab to maybe try to take him down. But I felt him big. When you fight someone, you can feel his size when you move around with him. It's always like I'm not gonna really trying to take him down, because I have to use a big effort to take him down. Him being that big, not that big, but maybe slightly over 10 kilos over me.
And right here, you get to a position you're really good from.
So yeah, I did. I prefer close guard, but when I pull guard, for him to avoid the close guard, he kept his leg between my legs, which is a position that I like. But the mistake he did, he's too far away from me. So he allows me to just come up on my knees, because it was too far. If he kept his body over mine, it would be harder for me. So I'm trying to get the hooks in. So you saw the way I put the hooks in. I think you can pause the video. Just pause it
real quick, Caleb.
For a second.
Yeah.
If you look a few seconds before.
Go back to before he gets the back, Caleb, if you don't mind.
So Buchecha, you can pause that. So I'm grabbing his arm. That's why he couldn't get off his knees. So when I swept him and pushed him back, I'm constantly holding the arm, so he doesn't have the arm to put it on the floor. So he's falling. So when the moment that I go on top, he cannot fight against that. So naturally, he's on his knees.
That sleeve grip right there. That sleeve grip on his left hand. Oh, amazing. Yeah.
So if the arm was free, he would put the hand on the floor and his body will come up straight away.
If you want to...
Yeah. So then I tried to put the hooks in. You can see I went off balance. I'm kind of falling forward. So now, you can see he just stood up. When he stood up, my both hooks in at the same time. In a jiu-jitsu matches, you don't see both hooks in at the same time. You see one and then afterward the other one. So when I got his back, I think he was completely lost at that moment. When I got the hooks, the moment that I have the hooks in, one of my hands goes straight into his neck. And at that moment, if someone is behind you, attacking your back, and if you feel any threat into your neck, the first thing that the first reaction that you should do, your hands needs to come to defend the neck. Forget the hook. The neck, you don't want to get tapped. About getting tapped or getting the points, and of course is the tap. So you should have blocked his neck, but his hands went to my leg. He's kind of trying to pull my legs out of the way. At the same time, I'm already holding his collar. That clearly showed that he was, he lost, focus. He lost concentration in the fight. The moment that he couldn't take me down, he got frustrated. I pulled guard. Suddenly he see me sweeping him. So he, in his mind, for sure, he couldn't take me down. He just got swept. I'm trapping his arm. It's difficult for him to get out. And the first movement that he does to get out, I get the both hooks in at the same time. Now it's almost panic. It's like I'm losing. I'm lost. What do I do? Should I focus on the hook? Should I go on the neck? In that indecision, my hands just got deeper.
It's definitely one of the wildest. Sorry, go ahead, Roger.
Yeah, nothing. He just lost focus on that fight.
Yeah, that was amazing. Maybe the best match breakdown we've had on here. That was really good.
Thank you for that, Roger.
It was nice hearing inside your head too about your strategy and everything. Chase, you had a fan question, I think?
Yeah, we have a lot of fan questions here, guys, but we're running out of time. So this one is for Braulio, and you can speak for you and your brother there. There's a question about the development of the Estima lock. It's a really, really powerful and dangerous submission that you guys created yourselves. Could you just talk a little bit about the origins of it, how you discovered it and refined the technique?
Basically, we before the ADCC, me and my brother, and Roger and everyone, we could be together training Lagarto, and then we always try to kind of develop new things by learning scenarios that happens during specific situations. So I remember my brother he grabbed my foot in a funny way. They just hooked, and then he put the pressure. And then I thought, hold on a second. No, there's a lot of potential there. That was something Victor was already practicing somehow because he already been caught in a submission against Abirrian. It was a very like a snappy submission footlock that we never knew how to do it. And we started exploring. And then Victor started exploring. He got my foot a little funny. And I said, oh, man, that was a lot of tension there. Stop. But he had only one hand, And then we start sharing. And then I said, Victor, how about if you use the body, the real naked on it? That could be a thing. And then he did, and it was very powerful, And then we put for the first time, kind of, me and Victor, we kind of. He started doing the movement. He tried to explore, and I kind of throw some knowledge of adjustment to become a little stronger, and then got to the point that we went when I went to the ADCC. I did the first time against Lovato, and man, it was a proof that actually it really works. Nobody knew what's going on, and Victor became a master of it. He snapped a lot of foot than me. And yeah, man, I think I don't take credit. I think it was he got the idea of trying something new. We shared the knowledge and make it better. I really don't say who was it. I think we both did together somehow.
All right, something that we're gonna start doing. The first time that we did it. Was yesterday when Lucas Lepre asked the question for Roger about the arm lock. We're going to have the guest from today ask a question for the guest tomorrow. So tomorrow we have Muhammad Ali come on. If any of you guys has a question you would like to give Muhammad Ali for us to ask him tomorrow, and then we'll pass it on. Maybe Braulio, you got something?
Well, Muhammad Ali, I'm going to ask a question. Let me see. It has to be jiu-jitsu related.
No, ask about anything. Yeah, now, I'm interested to hear your non-jiu-jitsu related question for him.
No, I'm gonna ask what was his most achievable competition, and what is his dream to achieve in competition.
So his is
that in the title that he craves the most.
Okay.
What was the most flavored, the one the most tasty victory that he had, and it's what he craves now. What's the title that he wants to focus on for his career?
Man, that's a great
one.
Great question. All right, so we have about 3 minutes left. I'll give you guys both about a minute and a half to just say a little message to your fans or whatever before we go. Maybe Hadri, you want to go first?
Okay, so I'll see you next time, guys. Love to talk to you.
No, I'll be quick. Just saying hello to everyone. I mean, it's we live in crazy times now. Everyone is quarantined. I haven't trained for almost a month now. I'm going crazy. So those that are in quarantine, they're probably feeling just as crazy as me. They're not training. Just hang on. And it will pass. You will go by.
All right, Braulio?
Yeah, man. I'd like to say, first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity. It was really good to be here, listen to all the stories, bringing back all the amazing memories, and using, I like to use those kind of times to talk about the past, kind of reflect, to realize why we got where we are right now. And, this is a way as well that you could use on those moments of hardship or hard times to reflect about things that brought us where we are today. I would like to send this message because I think sometimes we can blame so many things. We can kind of, when we are busy, there is no time for nothing. We say that we cannot do something because there's no time to do. So now we have so much time to do. So maybe focus on that. If it's a call to a friend, if I call to your mom, or if I spend a little bit more time playing with your son or whatever, I can use this time to reflect And as Roger said, everything will pass as long as you focus on the positive and try to take something, the best out of it. Everything in the world, that's the good and bad. And even the bad times, there's something positive out of it. So let's focus on that and develop something as a learning process for when we come back better than we left.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for calling in. I know it's almost 2 a.m. there in England. Thanks so much for staying up late with us.
Yeah, appreciate it. Great message to end on. Had a blast talking with you guys. And for our fans at home, stay tuned for tomorrow's episode of Who's Number One with Muhammad Ali. That'll be on at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you guys there. Thanks so much, guys. We'll talk to you again soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
Good luck, guys. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks.
Can you describe Gary as a coach, as a professor? What is he like?
Yeah, so it's very interesting. Probably one of the closest, if not the closest person to Gary. So it's a very unique experience. As far as jiu-jitsu goes, he's very good. Gives me a lot of guidance, helps me, and whatever questions I have for him, he always helps answer and beats me up in training. So it's good, jiu-jitsu wise, and just being his student as well as his training partner is unique because we can joke around, he's not strictly